You ever had to clean yourself with your own drawers?
See, all right. See, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Afronomics Podcast. This time we're doing a recap of the 2024 season. So we're gonna do our best moments and be able to give y'all a little flash from the past to show y'all what was the best moments in our opinion. Y'all might have different opinions, but best moments in our opinion from season 1, 2024. My name is Sita Dumbuya.
And I'm Llewellyn Dixon. You already know.
Yeah, you should. At this point, you really should know at this point that you've been following. But yeah,
And if you don't know, now you know.
it, oh, was there something else? I thought that maybe there was another part that was supposed to come at the end
Oh,
of that.
I forgot. I wasn't sure.
Oh, you forgot.
I don't be no words to stuff.
All right. Without further ado, we're gonna roll the first clip. First clip is coming to us from episode 2 with Miss Arshelle Bernard of Bombshell. So let's get into it.
I got invited to. There's a footballer who played for Tottenham, and I'm from America, so I don't know football or anything like that. But
Yeah.
it's this major footballer who lived in Accra, and I got invited to his party. And when I say it was, they only had Hennessy and Moet, like, and I was just drunk. And I remember literally throwing up between two Bentleys.
What?
And there was a guy who was there who I didn't know him. His family was very, I mean, if I call the name, it would, anyways. And he kept trying to holler at me, and it was like, I really think I missed my opportunity to like really be an heiress because I was so drunk off the Hennessy and the Moet.
No.
Yeah, that would have been your soft life right there.
Exactly. No,
and Bombshell
absolutely.
would have been funded and everything.
Listen, when I see him with his wife now and his kids and all the other stuff, I'm like, wow, on their estate, the family
He
estate.
said, "Hey Lord, what happened?"
Yeah, I say, wow.
Hey man, African man,
Yo.
you can still be a mistress.
All right.
That could be, look, here's the thing, and mistresses in Africa are well taken care of. It's
Very
only
well.
here.
It's not a bad
And sometimes
gig.
even the wife be no, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, often. I mean, I don't know. I was trying to be like, I was like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the mistresses from yesterday had like their men were still building houses for them and still taking care of them in a real way. Here, only in America do they kind of want to like halfway.
Do things.
Yeah.
See, that's the
Anyway.
problem with Western society. We don't take care of our mistresses. I've been saying
That's the problem with Western society. Or is my wildest story number 2? I landed in Morocco on my way to Liberia on January 6th.
Oh
And I'm in Morocco waiting for my flight, and I'm watching the news, and I'm like, yo, are they having a coup? Because I'm
do I
like,
understand?
I've seen a coup before, you know? Like,
Right.
I have some, so I'm kind of well versed,
Yeah.
but I've seen this happen before, and that's what this looks like. And I was like, okay, we landed, we saw John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock were elected, and also we saw
cool.
a coup. And why aren't they saying that it was an attempted coup? Like I saw in Bolivia, there was a failed coup attempt recently. Why don't they say that January 6th was a coup
Because
attempt?
when you're reporting on yourself, you're gonna
Yeah.
report it.
Well, then
Yeah,
where are
pretty.
the election observers for the U.S.? But
My
okay,
people,
I'll
that
leave
whole other
it.
country, that whole other turn.
I'll leave it. Yeah.
no, that was good.
That was
very
good.
very
That was
Yeah.
good. That was good. You want to go next or me?
You go next.
All right, so my story is wild and a little bit graphic. So Liberia, for context, I was in Liberia. Liberia does not have running water all over the country.
Correct.
Also, it was my first time in Liberia. And if you travel overseas, especially to, third world countries, if your stomach sometimes doesn't agree with what's going on there all
Right.
the time.
Right.
So my dad and I were in Liberia. We were at I forgot what the building is called where all the ministers do their thing.
The ministerial complex.
Sure, let's go with that. That's right across from University of Liberia.
Okay.
Yeah, and I needed to use the bathroom because stomach was doing things. I go all over the building. I said, "Where's the bathroom?" They said, "Oh, it's upstairs." So I go upstairs. I say, oh, can I use the bathroom? The old man says, what do you want to do, big or small? I'm like, what does that mean? Then I said, oh, I know what she's saying. I said, big. She said, we don't have water for that. I said, oh, okay. Mind you, stomach is in shambles at this point in time.
Yeah.
Can barely walk. So I asked one of the guys, I said, where's the closest like bathroom? Like, he said, oh, you can probably go across the street to University of Liberia.
Wow.
I said, okay. So I hobbled my way over to University of Liberia, stomach in shambles, get there. Of course, because of the war and everything, the university is in shambles. So I can't even find, like, there's no signs. There's nothing to say, bathroom this way. There's nothing to greet me. It's just in disarray. And I walk inside. I saw one old man. I think he was a janitor or something like that. And I assumed I think he looked at me and was like, what do you need? And I said, I'm looking for a bathroom. The guy looked at me, saw I was in dire distress. And he said, there's something here, but it's not, it's not. I said, whatever you got, please just give it to me.
Okay.
The guy, he said, okay. I walked in the bathroom. The bathroom looked like it hadn't been used since the war.
Oh, wow.
And it was just all over, just disgusting.
Okay.
Toilet disgusting.
Your story is like,
everything. It's wild, right? It's wild, right?
No,
I used it.
Crazy.
And I had to do what I had to do. No toilet paper.
Okay.
So
I didn't expect this.
I was not.
That's my wildest African
As it
story.
kept going.
It just keeps going down.
I was like, this
when I
plane is
finish, I'm gonna spare y'all.
Yeah,
you-
I'm
no,
gonna spare you.
if this is the point for sparing,
This is the point for sparing. I'm gonna spare y'all the rest. But I will say I had to leave and then go find another place to cleanse my hands. And again, there was no place to cleanse my hands.
Okay.
It was terrible.
Wow.
Y'all asked for the wildest story.
I didn't.
That's not what we.
That's not okay. I failed the test. I'm still salty. Y'all ain't let me finish my story. I'm gonna finish my story one day. I'm gonna tell everything in very specific.
You finished. We let you get to the end of it. That was just, and we shouldn't have let you get that far. To be honest.
Listen, I'm going to tell everything in very specific detail. There are pieces of my story that were left out. And if I had to be traumatized by this, somebody else is going to hear this story. Okay?
Some things just, you take it to the grave because, like, why? Why do we need? It was so long. Like, it was long.
You ever had to clean yourself with your own drawers?
See, all right. See, yeah, I shouldn't have brought this up because now it's like I heard enough the first time. I heard more than enough the first time, and now I'm hearing more.
I'm just saying, I needed to purge. I needed to get out of the
We didn't need to do that to him a second time. And then you added on.
Listen,
added to the story from the first time.
If they watching us and they've watched us before, they know it already. They know we're here for foolishness. And
yeah, no, that was insane.
I personally think there are people in
the episode we recorded. That was like you said this 10 minutes into the first episode we ever recorded.
Listen, if you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you the answer. Roll the next clip, man.
It's on you. You gotta introduce the next clip.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Oh, we doing okay. My bad.
The bet.
All right, bet. So my clip is it's from one of my good brothers. He's speaking some realness. We're gonna go from Sita's foolishness to a little bit of realness. My boy Mata doing his thing.
The entrepreneurship journey is definitely not for the weak. And if you want to start a business, in the startup world, we always say, prepare to get your return on your investment after 10 years. So be ready to essentially eat shit for 10 years until you reach that point. That was my perspective. And, I was in my 20s. I heard all these entrepreneurs say, 20 should be the time when you take the risks, you do all this, right? But I'll be honest with you, like before anything, like I'm a man of God first, right? And I remember I had a distinct experience where I was like, I fell to my knees, I cried, I was broke, I was about to get kicked out of my apartment, all this type of stuff. And I'm like, God, you know what? Use me as a vessel. Like I do not want to hold the reins anymore, right? I'm thinking like life is gonna get great after that. Life went to shit for 4 years after that. I went through the hardest experiences of my life. And it's funny reflecting on it now because if you guys would have talked to me maybe a year ago, like I used to look at my life like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to rap music, I listen to trap, right? The stuff that these rappers talk about, that was my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like the struggle. Oh, I had to do this. I had to,
Yeah,
right?
in the
That was
trenches.
the reality. So like reflecting on it now is like, wow, like reflecting on the high side, I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful to have spent my 20s not making any money, but trying and making mistakes and like failing, you know? Because everything that like, these entrepreneurs talk about, like I went through. I dropped out of college. I got kicked out of my apartment. I had to sleep in a car, I had to sleep on couches for years. For years, I had to do that. You know what I mean? Like I had jobs that weren't able to cover my expenses. I fell out with my family. I fell out with my friends. Like I lost friends. I lost family. Like, people died during this time. Like you really go through the full spectrum of life. You really do go through it, and also deciding that you want to do something tough. The two toughest things in the world to do, right, is having a startup and being a trader, right? Because the percentage of success is so low. It's so low. If you're starting a business, like let me put it to you like this, right? Everyone's into venture capital, right? 95% of startups fail. Venture capitalists make their money, their 100x return on the 5% of companies that end up becoming the next unicorn. You know what I mean? You have to like keep that in mind, right? But the way to alleviate that is, to me, is there's a problem and you create a solution. You have a business, right? But the best businesses is if it's a problem that you're facing. If you create a solution to a problem that you have, then you are the user. You understand how people think about what you're producing better than anybody else, right? Good example, my first business, Young Black and Educated, right? I had an internship in New York. Where do I get my haircut? Where do I go for happy hour? What do my friends do, right? That's why I created the network. It turned out that there was 1,500 other people in New York that wanted the same thing, right? When I started trading, right? Okay, let me learn this skill because I need money. That's why people start trading because they want money, right? Okay, boom, like, okay, I'm figuring out, okay, I can make some money from this.
I chose that one because I just like his transparency with it. He keeps it real about the journey and the process, and people need to hear that. People need to know that it's not all sweet. It's not an Instagram post where you go away, you come back, and you just are dope. Nah, when you're gone, it's because life is happening, and stuff gets real sometimes. So yeah, that's why I liked it.
Yeah, I know
Hope you got something that's not so deep because after this one,
I know all too well, man. Like the startup or the not the startup, the entrepreneurship journey is rough as hell. A lot of people don't tell you that. Like, it's rough. Like it's hard. It's mostly disappointment. It's mostly bad days, and it's like you just kind of clinging on to whatever small wins you can get. And then like depending on who you are, certain resources you don't have at your disposal. So you gotta make the most with what you can do. Like, so you're fortunate enough to be able to have a family that supports you while you're spending the years trying to build something, and that's super helpful. Or if you can kind of set your life up in a way where your expenses are low, so even into your business isn't really making a lot of money, you can still get by and still be able to live and maintain some semblance of a decent life. But like when you kind of out on your own and you kind of figuring out a lot of things by yourself, it's tough. It's actually you're trying to do something that's practically impossible, and you're trying to make the impossible happen. And you really only do that by having like supreme faith, supreme confidence. Like you got to believe when nothing is going right, when everything is just falling apart. Like the saying, I got to see it to believe it is actually backwards. You got to believe it before you can see it. You got to believe something is real in order for you to be able to create it in reality. Everything exists twice, once in the mind and once in reality. So if you can't see that business or whatever that venture working out, if you can't see it, even when it doesn't seem probable, then you'll never actually be able to make it happen. And that's what a lot of people realize along the way, or they don't realize it and they quit.
yep, facts 100%. This man speaking truth.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right. Next clip. So this one, first one was, definitely jokes. This one was I think it was just a good conversation for us. And yeah, we definitely want to be able to revisit it.
I'm going to read a quote. I want to hear your thoughts about said quote. This is not really a silly topic, really, but it is something that's interesting, and I think that people want to hear about it. So the quote is thus: I am Nigerian because a white man created Nigeria and gave me that identity. I am black because the white man constructed black to be as different as possible from his white. But I was Igbo before the white man came. My point is that the only authentic identity for the African is the tribe. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
I was about to say that's Chimamanda. I knew it from the first 3 words you said. So what are my thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts? Exactly.
That
Put you
is
on
an
the spot.
extremely loaded, it's a charged topic. And Chimamanda, I admire so much. I had the honor and pleasure of meeting her last year.
Wow.
And she's a writer. Actually, I met her for the second time last year. The first time I met her, she came to my university, Syracuse University in New York, when I was still in school. And I think it was 2012, just after she wrote Americana. And we had a brief chit chat then, and then we had another brief chit chat several years later in 2023. I'm coming from a bit of bias because we're from the same tribe. So Chimamanda and I were both Igbo, and we have a very strong sense of our Igbo tribal identity. So I'm Igbo, I'm also Nigerian, and I very much claim both identities. I also claim my American identity, and I'm extremely proud of it. So, there's a lot of history behind what she said, and I think it can go in a particular direction. I don't know if we have a lot of time to go down that history, but I will say that the Igbo tribe is a very, very strong tribe in the sense that we carry the identity with us. We carry a lot of history with us. And yes, we do recognize in Nigeria that it was amalgamated. The country of Nigeria was amalgamated and is a country of over how many hundreds of tribes, hundreds of languages. So it has been quite a complex issue identifying as Nigerian because it is a very recent identification. Since time immemorial, we have existed as tribes, but it is very recent for us to have existed as Nigerian. So I will stop there on that subject.
See, so what you think? What's your thoughts?
Nah, I mean, I understand it because Sierra Leone's the same way. Even like in Nigeria, Igbo and Yoruba are like the dominant tribes. From the perspective of me being in Sierra Leone, both my mom and dad's tribes are not the dominant tribe. The dominant tribes in Sierra Leone are Mende and Timni. So I can understand how, you kind of identify with your particular tribe. But at the same time, we're all kind of working together as a country. And it's like we didn't create the boundaries of the country. We didn't create the country. So we didn't create Sierra Leone. So to expect all of us to be able to work together on one accord when we have all these different groups, all these different interests, that can be something that's very challenging. But for me, it's more so about practicality. Unless we have a solution that allows us to go back to the tribal identity and put that in the forefront, I think it makes more sense to understand that we have different interests and align on what's important. I think that's Black people in general. We don't need to be unified, but we need to be codified. So we can all have our individual identities. We don't need to come together on that. But when we understand that we all have a common enemy and that we work together as it relates to how we approach that common enemy and how we need to be moving to make sure that we're protected against that common enemy, I think that that's where we really need to focus. So if everything doesn't align, cool. But in certain areas, we need to be on the same code.
I agree. I think for Liberia, I actually had this conversation with somebody a few days ago. They're American, and they were asking just about Liberia and things like that in Liberian history. And I told them, I told them that Liberia has many tribes, and they were like, well, what was Liberia called before settling and things like that? And I was like, you know what? I don't know. I think it was just the tribes had their boundaries, and that was it. The tribes knew where they were, and that was it. And I think the same way. Like, I'm Liberian because that's what the boundary set on the map. But and I think that's how a lot of Africans feel. They like when white people went over, they didn't care about destroying or dividing tribes. They just drew lines based on what they thought was.
And they did that on purpose. They prefer to destroy and divide tribes as opposed to
which is why I always say I respect Nigerians so much because y'all have been able, like most of the Nigerians I know are between Yoruba and Igbo. I think most are actually Igbo. And y'all have been able to, those tribes have been able to really stick together regardless of what, colonization did and to separate. So I have a high amount of respect for that because I know even between Liberia and Sierra Leone, and I think even I want to say maybe some part of Guinea as well. Like the Mandingo tribes are all in between all of those. Crew is between Liberia and Sierra Leone. Yeah. You can be from the Crew tribe but be Liberian, or from the Crew tribe and be Sierra Leonean. Yeah. And so the tribes have been split based off that. So I have a high level of respect for y'all for that.
And I think there's quite a concerted effort to reinforce the division amongst us by weaponizing the differences, right? Weaponizing the tribe. And it always happened around very convenient times of elections in Nigeria. You're reminded there's this otherism that is introduced into the election discourse, that you can't trust this person because they're Efik or they're Tiv or they're Biram. These are other tribes that you probably haven't heard of, but they all exist. Just that the predominant ones or the largest ethnic or tribal groups are Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. So we will be existing peacefully, coexisting, intermarrying, thriving amongst each other. But when it's expedient politically, when it's convenient, especially during election seasons or times where there's some sort of national dialogue, we often find that divide and conquer is reintroduced. And then you're now told you can't trust that. He's Hausa, she's Yoruba, he's Igbo. And it's extremely dangerous for Nigeria to evolve and to develop into the powerhouse that it should be, the powerhouse that it should be continentally and also internationally, if you always have this ethnic undertone in some of our politics, which is inherently divisive and regressive, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that one up. I thought it was a good conversation. I think there's a lot of things that we as Black people are divided on, and whether it's African versus African American or the country you're from, with the Sierra Leone, Nigeria, gender, a lot of things. But the tribe is also another one, especially when you're in Africa, is like very divisive. So being able to have a conversation like that, I think is a conversation that needs to happen, like being able to balance it too, because you can't just eliminate the tribe. There's a lot of history behind that. Those tribes formed for a reason. But at the end of the day, we got to look at moving forward and how do we make things better for all of us, and realize that we just don't have help outside of each other. We can work better together as different tribes than we could trying to each tribe individually try to protect their own interests. So thought it was a good conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even the division and the divisiveness is not even something that we did to ourselves. I mean, yes, everybody has their own tribe, so naturally the tribes are going to be together and want to be with their own folks. But like the confusion even between tribes and borders and things like that, it just comes because, again, it's a product of colonization. Other people naming us and giving us our boundaries. For example, Mende people and Crew people are both Liberian and Sierra Leonean tribes, because when they're drawing boundaries, they draw boundaries through people's land and put people who are actually family and ancestors and kinfolk on two different sides of country lines. So yeah, that's a good clip, bro. My next one is a little bit serious as well. It's about therapy. My boy, actually, this is from our episode. And that's a major thing for me. So gotta make sure the folks know it's okay to get your mind shrink a little bit. So let me pull that up.
Meditation should be a daily practice. You need to be able to be at peace with yourself, be able to sit still,
be able to control your breathing and be able to connect your physical, physiological with your mental, get you into a better mental state. You need to do that on a daily basis. A lot of times the world around you is chaotic. And then especially in today's time, like I was mentioning earlier, we're overstimulated between social media, between the music, between everything. We see all these different distractions everywhere. Everything is vying for your attention. You need to be able to be okay with being still, being at peace, and not having any type of stimulation.
Yeah.
And that's going to really have a big impact on just how you perceive things. Two, journal. Like, reflect on your day. Like, so many things happen in a day that we don't ever take the time to really look back on. Like, how did this make me feel?
Yeah.
What did I think of this experience? And I think when you don't do that, you just miss out on the growth that you can get from just looking back and sitting back and analyzing and just thinking, reflecting on what happened. And it's not, it don't even got to be about just what happened during the day, but stuff that happened like years ago. If you don't really take the time to process how you felt about an event, especially if it was one that was traumatic, then you're never really going to ever be able to heal from it, because there's going to be so many questions. The beauty of journaling and getting your thoughts down out of your on paper is because you get it out of your psyche. It's not stuck in your head. Once you get it out, it feels like you don't let a weight off. Like, you don't really gotta just sit with that.
Yeah.
And then talk to people, man. You gotta have some tribes, some folks that you can reach out to and be able to just tell them certain things and just have trust in them, confide in them, and just not hold on to all that alone. I think when you try to keep everything bottled up, the pressure just builds on itself. It don't go away. You can't just slide it under the rug and think it's going to dissipate into nothingness. It's just going to fester. It's going to grow, and then eventually it's going to come to a head, and there's going to be so much pressure that you end up exploding in a way that becomes very dangerous for you and the people around you. So you got to be able to get some stuff off of your chest. Have therapists, have friends. You want both. You don't want to just dump everything onto your friend or your girlfriend or your homie. You can't just dump everything onto them all the time. So it's good to have a professional. That's my initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you're saying. I think, in addition, to support it, I think journaling, getting that stuff out, to me, it's like when your phone or computer or whatever runs out of storage, right?
Yeah. It starts moving
slow. Things just don't work as it's supposed to work. When you purge, you talk about it, you write it down, you do all of that, you're creating more space, because the fact is you're going to have another trauma.
Yeah.
And you need space for the trauma, the new trauma, and you need space for the good things in life that are coming about. You just need to have space in your spirit for stuff, which is part of the reason why, like, it's necessary to have the filters of not being on social media all the time, putting up guards and boundaries and stuff like that. I have a therapist. I've had a therapist for a while. Dude has quite literally saved my life on many occasions. Not that I was like suicidal at that, but it was just like there were many times where I really just wanted to just be done and give up and everything else. And we had wonderful conversations, and I would leave. I would go in feeling heavy and leave feeling like a whole new person. And it's just that valuable. Like you said, I always tell people, you go to church or mosque or synagogue or whatever, a spiritual place for your soul. You go to the doctor for your body. Your mind needs something too. Your mind is literally a part of you as well. And if your mind is not, there's a scripture that says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If your mind is not healthy, literally the rest of your life will not be healthy. And everything that happens in your life attacks your mind. It's either going to affect your mind, it's going to attack your mind. Your mind is going to have something to do with everything that is in your life. Again, another scripture: guard your heart with all due diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Heart, in that sense, is like it's your mind.
Yeah,
it's your inner you. And so and the thing is, the more work I've done, I told my friend and I were having this conversation anyway. The more work I've done on myself, the more I see why other people don't do it, why so many people don't do it. Because it's hard. It's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. It's terrifying, and it is incredibly, it's everything you can possibly, anything that people are afraid of happening is exactly what's going to happen. And guess what? 10 out of 10 would do it every single time.
Yeah.
life changing. It's the worst thing I've ever done in my life, and I would do it again every single time because it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's we were talking about it earlier, freedom. Like you get to a point where you really start to see and break through the crap, and you start to see yourself. You're like, you know what? I like this. This is dope. Let's keep going. It hurt, but let's keep going. It's like working out. Like you work out, you don't like it. It hurts. He's like, why am I running 10 miles? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And then you start looking at yourself. You start feeling yourself. You know what? I'll keep going. I feel good about myself. It's a good day. Yeah, I'm going to die on this hill, especially us as Black men and African and Black men. I'm gonna always talk about the importance of the need for taking care of yourself, especially Black men as leaders and business people. Like one of the main things we don't do is take care of ourselves. That's even a higher group of people who don't take care of themselves. And so, yeah, definitely had to put that. My last clip is funny, I promise.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I agree. I think like it's something you just gotta be mindful of it. I think not everybody wants to do therapy or is comfortable with it. Uh, I think you can't ignore mental health, no matter how you decide to go about solving that issue. It's not something you can ignore because if you try to ignore it, then the pressure just builds up. So it's good that we had that discussion. It was good that we brought it up because like I mean, especially being a man, like it's not everything is hard. We don't have the luxury of being loved unconditionally. We're only loved based on our ability to execute, to be able to provide, protect, and get stuff done. And I mean, it just comes with the territory. Part, you can't be soft about everything, but you can't ignore that sometimes you don't feel good, and suck it up for sure. That's one way to do it, but there's a limit to that. So just make sure you got an outlet.
Yep, facts indeed.
All right, my last clip. So this one is just I think it's really part of the reason that we even have this show to begin with, and it really does a lot to expose the opportunities that there are in Africa business wise, and just letting people know the opportunity because a lot of us are struggling in different capacities. Economically is a big one across the globe. And it's like we got a gold mine sitting at home that we're not taking advantage of. So that's what this clip is, just scratching the surface on, and thought it would be good to bring this back.
Africa is one of the emerging. Technically, they call it poor, but we have the resources to take it to the next level. Basically, I want to be part of those people instead of just saying Africa, we have opportunities and talk about it. I wanted to do something about it. So anytime I earn something, I put it on the side, and we know we have 60% of the world edible land, so it's a huge amount. Africa is importing a lot of food, so which is kind of insane to me. But yeah, I realized this is, and I started educating myself about it, like watching YouTube videos, talking to people that are actually doing stuff on the continent. And I was like, now I'm going to dive into it. I went to Senegal and I spent about 1 week into a village to get an intensive training program into agribusiness. So now I know about the ins and outs of, how the agriculture businesses are conducted in Senegal. Then we bought a farmland. We spent about maximum $10,000 to buy the farmland, and then we invested about $20,000 to put in the infrastructure. We constructed a poultry chamber capacity of 3,000 chicken every 40 days, so we can produce that. And then we planted trees, putting the well, a 12-meter well, putting out a solar panel. This way we can, and an electric pump. This way we can get the water out of the well.
What, you're saying you developed all of these things?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we planted
Crazy.
like 100 trees, mango, lemon, soursop, oranges. We started doing the market gardening with okra and habanero peppers. And then right now we have started producing 250 chicken. But the idea is to scale it to full capacity to 3,000 chickens. So step by step, every time I earn, I put something on the side and I invest it. So today it's valued at, let's say, 120K.
Yeah.
Total investment is probably 30K. So you can see the gap in 1 year,
Wow.
1 year and a half. So there is, the thing is there. So now it's about how do we scale this? Because one person is not enough.
Yeah. So just the math on that, $30,000 investment, and now it's valued at $120,000 after a year and a half. Like that is insane upside. Like $30,000 for the investment. That's you 4x your money in a year and a half. And then that's just the beginning. He's already made all the money he's made, or he's already made that money back. Well, assuming that he's getting some cash flow off of it. But anyway, he's getting that value. He's 4x his investment in a year and a half, which is insane numbers. And then like it doesn't even seem to be that risky, because if you look at it, you're growing plants and animals that you can sell as food in a place where food is like a lot of people are struggling to eat. So like you'll be able to sell it. So it's just one of those things like that the opportunity is there, and you can get in on a very low investment. How many places can you invest $30,000 here in the US and get that much? Like acres worth of land, plants, and like this, I don't know. That's just one of those things that like more people got to know about this. And as he's working to scale and grow, it's something that we can, as a diaspora, you can really, because he lives here in Atlanta. That's another thing. He's doing that. He lives here in Atlanta. That's not something that a lot of people just had an opportunity to get to. You know.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, I was listening more so to the crops that he also said that he was planting. Just because like it's just in addition to obviously the money you can make and the investments and things like that, it's also just an investment in your personal health and well-being too. Like land is just made so that you can grow. He's talking about growing soursop, and that's a fruit that like I didn't know about until last year, and most people don't even know that that exists. But it's super healthy for you and it's just good for you. Like where in the US can we just like constantly grow our own crops and fruits and things like that so that we can be healthy and just live just better lives? And that just goes back to my general understanding and belief that living in Africa would just be healthier in general. And so him talking about the way the crops he's able to grow, the chickens that he's able to have, all the livestock, everything is just, to me, Africa is the land of milk and honey. It's from an investment point of view to make money off of the land, but then also from a health standpoint, you can't get better than what's there because the land is just made to be fruitful.
Yeah. No, to your point, I think in the US they only plant male trees
Yep.
because they don't want fruits growing on trees, so that
Yep.
you have to buy fruits.
That's why
So
we have so much pollen. That's why we have so much pollen in this country because it's all male trees.
yeah, like it's absolutely ridiculous what this country does. But yeah,
And if you were to plant plants like that, they would pluck them up. That's why you only have, come on now, you only have you have orchards where oranges only grow in one field. Like, nah, that's not how nature works.
yeah, they propagate to other areas naturally.
Exactly. Man, it's crazy. All right, so next one, it's funny. It's one of our Wahala joints. It's immigration stories. I personally love this story a lot. It's warm and close to my heart. So we're gonna go to it. Roll the clip.
You know what? Like, it's just the easiest way to end up like getting citizenship, because a lot of
Yeah.
people will try to file for like political asylum, like etc.
Yeah.
I know some people that have done that, but then like they did it after they like overstayed their visa like
it
15
didn't work
years.
out.
So they're kind of like, you ain't hiding from nothing now, like outside of like immigration in the US.
Yeah.
But so it's an interesting piece one way or another. But
So I actually have mine is similar. I had to think of one, but I thought about the green card joint. This is me kind of being petty and holding back my pettiness low key. I know a couple that got married. They're both Liberians, and she had become a citizen, and he was trying to get his green card or whatever. And so they got married so he could do that. And and I didn't like the dude, and the woman was my friend.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like the dude, and when some stuff came about in my head, I was like, I could call immigration. I was like, I could call, because I saw, it was just like I was at her crib and I saw his green card had come in the mail, and I saw it sitting there and I was like, I don't like that dude.
Wow.
I could call immigration.
Call
immigration.
That's crazy. That is diabolical.
And I was like, dang it, am I wrong for thinking that? Because it was a serious conversation. In my head, I was like, I don't like him. And she don't really like him that much either. I could call immigration.
What stopped you from doing it?
Because that would have been wild. Literally because I was like, that's wild. That might be too far. But I was like,
why is this a borderline?
Like, just maybe.
I thought it was kind of justified based on the situation, but
was he lazy? Was he abusive?
He was abusive.
Oh, okay.
That's why. So I was like, I'm calling immigration. Exactly. You say diabolical thing, and he's like, well, you got a reason. So that makes sense. I could call immigration. But, life came back, karma came back, and, things are good now.
So he got deported anyways?
In another way, he got deported from Earth.
Oh, we got unalive. Jeez. Wow.
Did you say deported?
Deported from Earth is crazy. Oh, man.
Well, technically he's still here, so his soul got deported from his body.
Yeah.
That's what happened for real.
Wow, I can't do this. This how the podcast gonna be for the rest of the time.
You started it.
Well, I literally have tears in my eyes right now. We're supposed to be a serious, business-minded podcast, guys.
That's not. No, we're not. Don't lie to these people.
No, we got a full linen outfit.
You got the R&B fit on.
All right.
So was it the wife?
Huh?
Who did it?
Oh, for reasons.
How plausible did I be?
Yeah, let's go.
To protect the innocent.
Next time. We go.
All right. Yeah, that was funny to me because it's a funny story. And it was our very first episode, man. And that whole episode was just good vibes. And Phil is a great guest. We got to have him back on the show, like as a guest for
an interviewee. No,
Yeah.
that was a fantastic. That was like some of the funniest. I mean, that was the funniest episode, and those clips in the beginning were definitely some of the funniest stuff that we've done. It was just very interesting too, very eye-opening, talking about how much you can make by marrying somebody for a green card. Like this, we talked about a lot in that clip. Definitely one of my favorites, and even like on Instagram and stuff. That's one that got, that it consistently gets good viewership whenever we post clips from that. So definitely I think that's one of my favorites. Like if you didn't do it, I would have put it on there. I think that's one of the fan favorites too.
And I will also give Phil a shout out because his fit was fly.
Yeah. We gotta. I need to get to my tailor.
That blue was
If I can
hidden.
get some of these African fits tailored up. That'd be the only reason, man. I gotta get them tailored. But you know me, I'm Steve Jobs. I wear the same black shirt every time we record.
Hey man, gotta do what you gotta do.
Sisters.
Gotta eliminate decision fatigue so you can focus on what matters.
Right. All right. Well, that concludes our recap episode 2024. And guess what? We got some new heat dropping soon for 2025. We already got some stuff waiting, and I think you guys are gonna love it. Like it's some exciting stuff. We got new guests, we got new types of videos, new topics. 2025 is gonna be our year for real. Just like well, I can't even mention that. It's another clip that we gonna mention that you're gonna see pop soon that I was gonna reference, but this is coming out before then. But yeah, just stay tuned, man. 2025 gonna be our year of blessings and growth, and we get taking it to the next level.
Yep. And if you have a certain clip or moment from the show from last season that you like, let us know. Put it in the comments. Drop it. We might add it to one of our upcoming episodes. Appreciate y'all as always.
Signing off.